here we go.
Peace, family. This is Eric. People call me that anyway. Here with the Harvest Collective, and just wanted to share a little bit about some of the projects that we've got going on this spring, or in preparations for this spring. It's the 5th of December right now, and we're already thinking about the growing season, as I think anybody who's serious about growing their own food should be. Now is the best time to prep garden beds. You can still plant garlic. Onions will grow this time of year. It's a great time for moving around perennial plants like asparagus, stinging nettles, any kind of perennial trees and shrubs are going to be dormant at this time, and gives them a chance to settle into the ground where they're going to be living, and then they wake up in a new home. But at any rate, right now we're focusing on soil building, because soil is where all the plants start. It's what gives the plants their form and their vitality. A lot of the plant's vitality comes from these nutrients that are basically broken down organic matter. So we're creating a nice space for a lot of organic matter to break down. And one of the things that we focus on in permaculture, or creating a permanent culture, a permanent way of caring for the earth and caring for each other and caring for all living beings, one of the things that we like to think about is, where are our resources coming from? The closer that we get our resources, the less energy that we have to invest in that, which makes it a more sustainable system. It makes it a system that's more energy efficient. And that's what this all comes down to, is using energy efficiently. So we want to build a lot of soil, which, as I said, is basically broken down organic matter. So right behind me, you can see we've got all this bamboo here, and bamboo is a very prolific plant. It is very spreading and very opportunistic. You give it the chance, bamboo will take over a whole area. And some people are at war with the bamboo, but right now I'm giving a lot of thanks for the bamboo, because it's an excellent organic matter that we can use to build up an area where we will be incorporating even more organic matter to bring in the microbes and the fungi that will break this all down into excellent soil. You can tell by the way that bamboo grows in really poor soils and comes up really dark green that it is a dynamic accumulator, which means that it's pulling minerals and elements from the soil that other plants are not capable of pulling from the soil. It's a very tough plant. So the other thing that we have here in suburbia is an abundance of these leaves. So we've got tons and tons of leaves. Now, leaves are another wonderful example of dynamic accumulators. They can grow in really poor soil, and every year they'll pull up more and more nutrients as their roots run deeper. So what that results in is a lot of nutrition being shed every fall in the form of their leaves. This is how the forest fertilizes itself. This is how the forest builds fertility, builds humus, which creates the habitat for fungi and microbes to come in, cycle those nutrients, retain water, and basically build up the fertility of the forest as a whole. So we're capitalizing on this by taking these leaves, and we're going to accelerate the process by chopping them down finely. You can see an example of that over here. So this is finely shredded leaf bits. Now this, mixed with some coffee grounds, will break down in a very short period of time, 4 to 6 months, even through the winter when it's cold and microbial activity is extra low. By adding the coffee grounds, we'll get a nitrogen and carbon reaction, which brings in thermophilic bacteria that heat up the pile and accelerate the whole process. So we're going to build a lot of soil by using these leaves here, and we'll talk about just one more local source of nutrients for your garden. This is our little compost pile over here, and just to give you an idea of that carbon to nitrogen reaction, I don't know if you can see the steam coming off of that.
We can.
But yeah, that's That's good and warm in there, I would say. It's not too hot to touch, so it's not quite as hot as we want it. That means that there's probably not enough oxygen in there.
About that, folks.
So it was raining for several days recently, and that rain, it likely settled the pile down and pressed out some of the air pockets in it. So what we'll do is just turn the pile to introduce more air, because this is an aerobic process, which means that oxygen is absolutely necessary for these microbes to thrive. Okay.
Alright, let's see. So, we have the safe return of one pup, and we're back to turning the compost pile.
Yeah, so basically we want lots of oxygen in this whole process, and this is a great way of taking, like you can see here, some grass clippings. There's a lot of leaves in the mix because leaves are abundant, and that brings us back to like the real topic of this video, which is using local resources to build soil fertility in the areas around you. So all of our garden compost is going to come from our vegetable scraps and the leaves that we gathered from neighbors, and you know, grass clippings that we gathered from neighbors, and you know, sweet potato vines that were left over from the sweet potato harvest, and just any kind of organic matter. We just put it into this pile and turn it around a whole bunch, and you know, this is a great way of building soil, and these are great things to think about now in the winter time, so that they have a long time to break down, and by the time spring comes around you won't have to go to the store and spend $5 a bag on a half cubic yard of leaf grow. You can just make your own by running over it with a lawnmower and piling it up in a corner of your yard. And if you want to make some coffee grounds in there, they're a good source of nitrogen, phosphorus. They got a lot of trace minerals and elements because they're growing in the jungle. It's a tree growing in the jungle, and we take these precious little berries and drink them in our morning coffee. And so you can go to any Starbucks or Dunkin' Donuts or anywhere, and they'll be happy to give you tons and tons of coffee grounds. So go out and get the leaves that all your neighbors are putting out, and go out and get the coffee grounds that the coffee shops are putting out, and find a corner of your yard to pile them up, and you'll have some good soil in the springtime. So yeah, keep building that fertility, keep thinking about permaculture, and keep on loving the earth. Loving you, family.
Oh.